Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated, where it's pretty exciting for me today. I get to talk with actor Lance Guest. So, welcome, Lance.
Hello.
Yeah, this is very exciting for me. I've been a fan of yours for many years. Feel like I grew up watching some of your stuff.
You would have to be. It would have to be many years. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sadly, it's been a few. They've went by kind of quickly. So Lance, I always like to start here. What originally made you want to get into the entertainment business, and how did you go about that?
Well, I didn't really think about going in the entertainment. I didn't really think about the business so much because I did a lot of plays when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I did theater. Those were my people. I did it all the time when I was in high school. It's like being on a football team or something. That's what you do. It's like you play 4 years of football or something. It's like everything you do, except that it's all year instead of just the football season.
Right.
Like it was like practice every day for me, in my case, it was 3 years, but it's like every day. And it's just what I did. And then originally I wanted to go to theater school in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Where I wanted to join the Oregon Shakespeare Festival up in Ashland, Oregon, here on the West Coast. But a friend of mine just said, "Hey, I'm going down to UCLA. You want to go?" And he was driving down to sort of check out the place, and so I went with him. And I think I had my SATs or something. I think I had like signed up to send him there to UCLA because it had a good theater program. I mean, that's what they said. And so my cousin had gone there, so I went there. And so I just ended up going to UCLA this was in 1978.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty well. I think that happens a lot. You just end up following somebody else, and there you are.
I mean, it's not like going to UCLA is not like a funnel into Hollywood at all. It's actually quite the opposite. But while I was at school, I knew some people. I'd heard of some people that had gotten, managers, or there were a couple of people that had gotten parts, but not a lot. It wasn't a ton of people. And there's a lot of really good actors at UCLA, and it was very hard to get in if you don't have a connection or anything like that. They have like a showcase thing they do at the end of the year. They pick 12 people, and that's basically your only real interface with the outside world. USC, as far as like college being
right.
Like if you don't live there, you probably think, oh yeah, well of course you're you're going to be in this great school, and it's going to be near all the film business. All they do is go to college productions, and no, they don't. They hardly ever go. But USC is a good school for that. USC has a lot more opportunities that way. But that was our rival. USC was our rival.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I don't believe in rivals. So
Are you still a Bruins fan?
Sorry?
Are you still a Bruin? Do you count yourself as a?
I don't keep up. I'm a Bay Area guy, really. So if I'm an NA fan, it's a Giants 49ers fan.
All right, that's all right. So, Giants having a good year this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. So do you remember what your first acting role was that you got paid for?
Let's see. I was an understudy, which is weird. I was an understudy for a band for a show that was I was still in college. I was also doing a play outside of school, and they needed understudies for like 6 weeks for this play about this woman who wants to be like a Carly Simon type of rock star, and she's like 39 years old, and all the guys in her band, it's basically her manager, and all the guys in her band. And all the guys in her band have to actually do all the music for the musical.
Right.
Which is very similar to what we ended up doing in Million Dollar Quartet. And then they would play various parts in her life. And it was John Cryer's mom Gretchen Cryer, and it's called "I'm Getting My Act Together and Taking It on the Road." And I was the understudy for like 6 weeks, and I was 20 years old, so it was really weird, It's like I have this like romantic, crush on John's mom, and she's like,
That's pretty hilarious.
She was so cool. I really liked her. Really liked her a lot.
Well, was John hanging around?
John was like a teenager. John was like not even like 13 or 14. He and his sister would show up at the theater, and it was funny. And then later I ended up doing a independent film with John called Plan B. I don't know if anybody has seen, but it was a lot of fun.
Yes, that's a small world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It was fun. It was fun. He's a great guy.
So I know that you played guitar. Did you sing? Did you do musicals through high school?
I did, but they weren't the kind that I would play guitar in. Like I kept campaigning for Tommy, but they wouldn't let high schools do Tommy. So, because I knew the Pinball Wizard riff.
That's right.
So,
Smoke on Fire and the Pinball Wizard. Those are the two you have to know.
I was, it was it was in the mid to late 70s. So, we did like, Oliver and Guys and Dolls and Dolly and, I basically did everything you could perform in. I did the talent show in senior year. I did all the plays. I did everything you could do. That was just my thing.
Yeah. Well, we were talking off camera that you did a play called $1 Million Quartet where you get to play Johnny Cash. How did that come about?
That came about from a friend of mine that I had done another play with in Los Angeles. There's a lot of theaters in Los Angeles, and actors, when they can, they do a lot of live theater because it keeps you kind of, keeps you banging on all 6 or all 8.
Right. Yeah, keeps you sharp.
Yeah. And so I did a play with my friend Megan, and she was working with this guy, Floyd, who had written this play.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh yeah, we need people to do a reading of this, and we need somebody who can play guitar and just kind of play some rockabilly stuff. And you need to be tall, you need to play guitar, and oh yeah, you need to be Johnny Cash." And I was like, okay. So I had actually, when I was a kid, when I was like 9 years old, one of my favorite songs was "The Boy Named Sue." So he recorded a concert right up where I lived, up in the Bay Area. He recorded his concert at San Quentin, and that was my first record album. So I was very familiar with all the songs, and I just kind of grew up sort of hearing his voice. So I just kind of, it was literally no work at all. I just showed up and went, did my Johnny Cash, I just
nice.
I did it, and I could sing the songs because I played them on my guitar, and what was really fun about that though is that we were one of the first sort of self-contained musicals. No, actually, Pump Boys and Dinettes actually did the same thing, but we this was in 2000. It started in 2004, so we were one of the first ones to be actually. There was no band. There was no pick.
Right.
The cast was the band. So, and because it's set in Sun Records, it's set right then. I don't know if you're familiar with the event where Jerry Lee and Carl Perkins and Elvis and Johnny Cash, they all met, in December.
I know, crazy.
Yeah, crazy, huh? And they had like a very, very crude recording of what they all sang, and then they took one photo, and that's it, So we thought, okay, well, that's a good jumping off point for a jukebox musical for sure. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you have 1950 sort of rockabilly stuff times 4, right? Because so it was quite successful. And we went to, we did it in Seattle, we did it in Chicago, and then they called us to do it on Broadway. So we went up to Broadway to do it.
That's amazing. Yeah, because people love that style of music. It's just fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. And the play was really fun. The play was just a gas, the play was just, it was just, I got to be a rock star for like 5 years, and it's like
pretty great.
Bands don't even last that long. So
that's right.
It's like you just kind of.
Well, so that was a little bit later from what you became known for early on.
Yes.
So do you get recognized now by people seeing you as Johnny Cash that have no idea about your previous acting?
No, because people don't recognize me as, and they either know, they're either my my friends or people who have seen the show, you know.
Yeah.
They know, but I had to wear a wig, you know, because I'm like losing my hair here.
Yeah, tell me about it.
so they made this really, you know, big thick black. I mean, I was 50 years old. I had to play 23.
Oh wow.
So, but the funny thing is that you look at some of those old like publicity shots of John when he was, you know, when he was 23, 24 years old. He looks like a middle-aged man.
Yeah, he had a rough go of it.
He actually looked better when he was super skinny and stuff. But you know, he had such a great face. I mean, he's such a great like American.
He's just an icon.
Yeah, that's really the best way to describe it. You know, he's the real deal. It's not like there was all this hype about him, you know, everything. He really is that cool, you know.
Yeah. Had you ever had a chance to meet him at all?
A long time ago, I met him, but like it was crazy. I just met him backstage at a Highwaymen show.
Yeah.
My friend had tickets to the Highwaymen, and we went to go backstage, and you know, he didn't know who I was, so but he and I are the exact same height.
There you go.
It's kind of funny. A little old.
Well, who knew at that time that, you know, down the road you would actually have to play him in a musical.
I know. It was a very, very weird thing. And you know, I've only been on Broadway once, and I've done tons and tons and tons of theater, and I've actually done tons of things that are way more challenging than doing something that I knew how to do when I was 9 years old, you know?
Right.
So it was weird. I mean, of course I worked really hard at it. Every night I would, you know, I would just perfect it every, you know, more and more and more and more. And you really, when you're playing a real person, you really have to get inside them the best you can, you know, and you know, I put a lot of work into it, but I've worked a lot harder doing stuff you know, for 40 people in an audience, you know.
So I wanted to. I've been lucky enough over the years to become pretty good friends with Ed Asner, and I know that you did some work on Lou Grant.
That was my first like screen job, or first, you know.
Yeah.
The other one was my first theater job, but this was my first. Lou Grant was my first. July 12th, January 12th, 1981, I think. I did like 2 days on the Lou Grant show.
Yeah, well, he remembered you. He said he spoke pretty highly of you. He said you were really great to work with. Yeah, he actually just came back through St. Albans this weekend performing a play, and
wow,
we got to talk to him for a little bit. And I was telling him, hey, I'm talking with Lance, and he, you know, he's on Lou Grant. He's like, yeah, he said he was really good on Lou Grant. So yeah, Ed's awesome.
Yeah, he's kind of another sort of a fixture, you know. He has so much weight as an actor, you know. He's a real.
I've got to watch him a little bit, and he can just turn it on. You know, whatever role he's needing to do. I mean, you're talking to Ed one second, and the next second he's whoever he's supposed to be. I mean, it's kind of amazing. I'm just like, oh wow.
Well, the thing is, it's something that you learn that you have to do. Like if you're on a movie set or TV set for 12 hours, you know, you may start out. I was talking to somebody else about this. You may start out thinking that you can stay in character the whole 12 or 15 hours that you're on the set, but it just burns you right out. You know, it's just. But you do it when you're younger because of course you have all that energy, but
that's right.
Eventually you learn how to just zip into, you know, kind of drop into character.
Well, you hear about actors that do that stay in, that kind of live the role. Yeah. But then you also hear that they end up having some issues when they go too deep into the roles.
Yeah, it does kind of burn you out. Luckily, you know, as far as Johnny Cash, it's such a relaxed.
Yeah.
In this case, it was a relaxed thing because he does have a very slow, kind of deliberate.
Yeah.
Rhythm, You know, it's not like you're playing, I don't know, it's not like you're doing the Robin Williams story where it's like you got to be on 120 miles an hour all the time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You know, and so it is a little easier,
a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
Did you play in any bands growing up?
You know, just pick up just things like my friend Mike and I, he taught me to play a long time ago. And we were like, we played a dance at a place. So we were in a band called, forgot what it was called. Oh, you know, it was called Stillwater, which we had that name. I don't know if you saw Almost Famous, but that's the name of the band in Almost Famous.
Oh, it is. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, but this was like, it was funny. It was like it was in 1975, I think. And Almost Famous, he came out way later.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been several bands named Stillwater. But anyways, that was my gig. And then I was
No. I'm sure yours was the first.
We're always the first. I was in, and I was also in another band, a really fun. There's this band called The Foreman, and it was a folk type. Originally sort of a folk type format with an upright bass and everybo's wearing suits.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You have like 4-part harmony, and it's kind of this, you know, Kingston Trio, Brothers 4 kind of thing, but it's political satire. It's mostly like sort of like with a goofy smile, but just like hardcore political satire. So it's awesome. That was a really fun band. I mean, I probably saw them. I was like Mark Wahlberg in Rockstar. I probably saw them, you know, 25 times. And because of, you know, a couple of guys in the band were guys I went to college with.
Yeah.
And so I used to go to their gigs all the time. And then one of the members left, and they're like, we need somebody to play guitar and banjo. So it was really fun. It was just really, really fun.
Yeah. You need to reunite them. That'd be fun now.
Yeah. Well, actually the main guy, his name's Roy Zimmerman. He does a lot of solo stuff. You see it online all the time, Roy Zimmerman. And he's great. I mean, I at one time I said, Roy's the greatest songwriter in America. Because he is. I mean, he's just unbelievable. He just cranks them out, and they're always smart and funny, and you know, and just so.
Yeah, that had to be a good show too. That was probably a blast live.
Yeah, it was really fun. I really am lucky that I got to, as much time that I put into acting, I got to do a lot with music, you know, with performing the kind of stuff that I like to play.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Great. So I rewatched The Last Starfighter this weekend just to see if it holds up, and it does pretty good. It does. I mean, you're playing a video game that everything's smaller now. Right. But that's nostalgia wise, it holds up pretty good. It's not bad. It's a pretty good movie.
I think so. I do. I'm quite proud of it.
Well, yeah, and you should be. I mean, it's one of those movies from the 80s that has kind of become this cult classic, especially to people, you know, like myself that grew up through the 80s. You know, that was one of them that we just played or watched all the time, you know, growing up. And it was just,
I have friends that are around your age, and they talk about coming home and just, you know, that's what they did after school, you know. It's like, what are we gonna do? Oh, we could watch Last Starfighter. You know.
Well, it's because all of us kind of thought, maybe, you know, playing this video game, maybe that could be.
I'm sure one of those was Elon Musk. That's why he's building rockets.
Yeah. Well, so what? How did that come about? Was that just did you just audition for it? Did somebody bring that role to you? How did you become involved with that movie?
Well, it was strange. I didn't find this out until 20 years after the fact. But I just auditioned for everything. I mean, there were so many movies that were being made at that time that I auditioned for that, you know, I wouldn't have gotten, or, you know, some things I did get, some things, most of them I didn't. And so I was just one of the actors that got, you know, they gave that to and then brought in for an audition. Yeah. This was like in 81, 82, 83. And, but I had done this movie called Halloween 2.
Yeah, of course, with Jamie Lee. Yeah.
Horror things in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Halloween 2, and that was the first movie I ever did. And the director of Last Starfighter was good friends with good John Carpenter, who wrote and produced Halloween 2.
Yeah, of course.
He directed, but he wrote and produced and edited, and he was editing some of the stuff. And Nick Castle, our director here, was just hanging out with him, and he saw me on the Moviola, the old school, give me the Scotch tape, all right, and he's like, wait, who's that guy, and so we told him, and he was working on developing. He and John had been developing Last Starfighter. It hadn't been gone into production yet. This was 2 years earlier, before we actually started shooting. So I knew nothing of this, and then all of a sudden Nick brought me in, and I auditioned just like everybody else, and then I didn't hear anything, and I was like, oh, they seem pretty positive. I wonder why I didn't hear anything. And then like 2 months later, I get a call like, oh yeah, you have a call back for Last Starfighter, or for Centauri's Recruit is what it's called.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay. So I show up, and then it's like me and 2 other kind of up and coming actors. And they and 3 actresses that were, all in that gang. And it was like, okay, they're pairing people up, this is it. So that's how I got the job. I just auditioned then, and they put me together with Kathy, and the rest is
that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she was terrific with
love her.
that movie too. Yeah, that one and Night of the Comet were always big ones with her in it. Do you have you stayed in touch with any of the cast?
Well, I see Kathy often. I see Kathy.
Yeah.
I mean, we live on different parts of the country, but I see her every year, every couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'm sure you run into her on the convention circuit as well at times.
Yeah. We're a lot of times we're together. And actually, one of the guys in the truck is a really, really good friend of mine that I went to college with. The guy that tells the jokes.
Yeah.
Remember the backseat of the truck? There's a guy telling the jokes, and the beta unit's just laughing his ass off.
Oh yeah.
And everybody looks at him like, wait, that wasn't funny. It's like, why are you laughing now?
Yeah, that's pretty great. What was it like having to play, 2 different roles within the same film?
It was, first of all, I put a lot of pressure on Alex, because Alex carries the film. Everything Alex does has to make sense. I'm kind of holding on to the reality of the situation, and it's sort of a constant sort of comedic comment on what's happening, because it's absurd. It's this crazy going to another planet, and I think I really had to keep as much reality as possible, make every single thing I do, even though it was an outrageous situation, make it filtered through a real person.
Right.
And then, but the beta unit was just, he is a blank slate. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have any, there's no previous life. There's no going life. He's just a machine. And so he's kind of a simpleton. Right. So that was easy to play, because I'm just like, it's like a dog, it's just like dogs don't remember things that happened, 5 minutes ago or 2 days ago. They're constantly in the moment. That's right. That had to be fun to play. Yeah. It was. I based it on, again, another one of my friends from college. I always mention him, FJ Pratt, and FJ was this comic, quite a great comic actor in my opinion. I'd seen him do some great things. He did a production of Waiting for You that cracked me up, and he just has this sort of completely impulsive kind of comic ability. And so I just thought, well, man, shit, what would FJ do? All right, let's do FJ. That's awesome. Thanks, FJ.
Does he know that you based that on him?
I've told him. Yeah, I've told him.
Yeah.
And I say it whenever I can.
Did you get to improvise any of the lines for the beta unit?
Yeah, I did actually. I think. I always say this. The one I remember is our DP, our director of photography, King Baggett, was he's just really like guy, you know, he barely opened his mouth when he talked, and he's this big sort of 6'4" kind of handsome guy, but he was totally deadpan. Everything was always deadpan, and he always was holding a light meter up to my face. And whenever he was trying to say like we're running out of light, to sort of like keep it going,
Yeah.
he would go, "We're dying, guys. We're dying." We're dying. And that's it. We're dying. That's all he would say. I heard him say that probably 20 times a day. And so we just did impersonations of him, you know, just like people do King. He's like, "Oh, no, we're dying, guys." So, so I when the beta unit's taking his head off, I think I said, I'm dying here. I'm dying. and I can't remember. I should really check with Nick about this. But one of the very last lines is when spoiler alert. When Centauri comes back to life, my line is, "I thought you were dead," and I tried to do it like the guys in Escape from New York did every time that saw Skin, and they go, "Snake, thought you were dead," you know, and they were, and so I thought maybe we'd do a little homage.
That's great. That's a terrific Easter egg right there.
Yeah, you know. So, but I can't remember if I made that up or I just said to Nick, "Can I do it like Snake Plissken or whatever?" You know, just not like Snake Plissken, but like people talking to Snake Plissken. And at the very end of the movie, there is, if you watch my lips, and I'm talking to Kathy, we're going up, and I say to her, "Isn't this great? It's just like the movies." And but I just said that out of my own, you know, just for my own amusement, because I knew I wasn't being recorded.
That's right. But you can catch it. Yeah, I'll have to go back and actually watch and see if I can make out the words.
Very much like what we used to do in Million Dollar. Hey.
Got your buddy there.
That's my dog. Million Dollar Quartet. We used to every time we were supposed to be ad-libbing on stage, just like hubba 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 hubba, peas and carrots. You know, we're supposed to have actual, you know, life on stage, but they would cut our mics, so we could literally say anything, and all we would do is try to crack each other up on stage, because that's what it is. It's just a big party with all these guys, these hillbillies making each other laugh, and you know, and so it's like,
that's great.
So one thing that we all did is we all would just quote lines from Anchorman. We were all like Anchorman fans, you know. So we all
a little ham and egg for you.
It's boring, but it's part of my life, you know. And so we, I don't know. That was just the thing. So I always liked improvising when I could get away with it, but sometimes, you know, certain, you know, there is a person that writes the script, so they're like,
"That's right.
The script."
Yeah, I just had a feeling, especially with the beta unit, that some of that maybe you.
Yeah, I definitely that, and I can't remember. I think "Come On, Alex, Don't Be Such a Wimp." I'm not sure. I don't remember if that's. Hang on, my dog is sitting on my headphones. Joey, don't sit on my headphones. Here you go.
That's the beauty of Zoom.
Yeah. I thought I'd be dorky if I was wearing my headphones, but.
That's right. We're a very professional look here. We can't have that dorkiness in there.
But let's see. God, I wish I could remember. Those are the few things I remember.
That's pretty good. I mean, it just seemed like such a fun cast. I mean, that had to just be a lot of fun. It
really was. It really was. And like I said, especially the old guys, you know, Robert Preston and Dan O'Herlihy, you know, they were like troopers. They were total troopers. You know, we shoot at night. These guys are up all night, and they're in their 60s and 70s, and they're just, you know.
Well, and I can't imagine some of those guys in all the makeup and the costumes, and I mean that couldn't have been easy.
Yeah, the costume was a little. I had my little Last Starfighter costume. I think I have pretty skinny wrists, but they made those metal clamps. They were like cuffs. They were like metal cuffs.
Yeah.
And instead of, you know, something that was made out of something more givable, it was like wearing handcuffs. You know, it was made out of like lead or some sort of alloy or some weird
comfortable.
This thing, you know. So like I would kind of go, can we put those on like right before we shoot? You know, because I'd be sitting around, my hands would be turning blue. You know, because sometimes you have to sit around for 45 minutes. Between,
oh yeah.
Between setups or takes or whatever. And I think I got a bad reputation for being like a prima donna because I was like, keep these on.
He won't wear the handcuffs.
I swear to God, it was like they were like handcuffs. I don't know if you ever worn handcuffs, but they're round. Handcuffs are round.
Yeah.
They're not the shape of your wrist.
No. It's not comfortable. It's not comfortable.
Just to be clear, I was wearing handcuffs because of actually being arrested, as opposed to some sort of kinky. I will not de-dignify myself.
That's right. I was
arrested for climbing on the Hollywood sign. Me and my friends, we climbed up on top of the Hollywood sign. We climbed it up to, there's a ladder in the back. I don't advise it. Don't do it. You'll get arrested. But we were jailed.
How long were you in jail for this?
3 hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours. We weren't even formally charged. They just sort of cuffed us and put us on the bench. So I always like to say I've been to jail only one less time than Johnny Cash. Everybody thinks Johnny Cash has like been to prison, did like months in prison and everything. I think he went to, he spent a night in jail a couple times.
Were you in there? Did you get the moment where somebody said, "Hey, what you in for?"
Oh no! It wasn't like an Alice restaurant kind of thing. It was more of a. The cops were just. Basically, it's trespassing, and they were doing it. And people climb those things and they jump off. It's like weird. It's like a weird thing. So that's why they do that, because it's actually sort of a dangerous thing. But we were like rock climbers, so we thought, we'll be fine.
We can do it.
Yeah, and so. When they brought us in, the Rangers were kind of serious about it. They were trying to like scare us, but the cops were hilarious. The cops just laughed at us. The cops just totally like, oh, here come the desperados. The cops totally made fun of us. So.
Well, yeah, if you're going to get into trouble, that's pretty mild.
Yeah. It was a drag. Like I said, the handcuffs hurt, but
Were you a video game player growing up?
I was a very thrifty person. I knows what I spent my quarters on, and to me, I was never that. I didn't get addicted to it, and so I never was really that great at it. So I used to like pinball. I used to thought pinball was really cool. Used to think pinball was really cool, but they were just kind of starting when I was mostly in college when those Pac-Man.
Right. That's right.
So my friend Tom, he was really good at it. But he's that kind of guy, he's very, very quick and and my son Jack is like that. He loves do those games over and over again, but they cost $0.25.
It added up quick.
So you could drop $5 at an arcade, and
arcade,
a lot of money. You can get into a movie for $5.
Yeah,
so,
I used to tell the kids that when I went to a movie, it was like $3.
Yeah, you could get I remember
movie popcorn and a drink for $7 or something.
Yeah.
the good old days.
I just I had other things I would rather spend my money on. I would rather. And I just didn't buy things, I just entertained myself. I bought a car for $275 once. It was a 1964 Rambler, Aqua Rambler. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think my first that I owned myself was a 78 Malibu.
Whoa.
I think I paid about $1,000 for it.
That's a good
$800 or $1,000. It was a pretty good car. It was big.
Yep.
It was pretty good. That's the first one that was a big deal, because that was probably the late 80s that I bought it, though. So it was probably 10 years old by the time I got it.
Yeah, I had a 63 Studebaker. It wasn't really mine. It was my brother's Steve, but it was cool. It kind of looked like a Mercedes. They had that grill that looks kind of like those old Mercedes.
Yeah.
It was an American car. It was a 63 Studebaker. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd love to have a 63 Studebaker now. That'd be great.
I '65 Mustang, and I had a.
Ooh.
But that was like my friend was going to junk it. The same guy that was really good at the Pac-Man. He was.
Yeah.
Somebody T-boned him, and he was moving, and he said, "Dabs, just junk it, come get
rid of it."
Are you kidding me? So I went and got it and took it to the guy to put a radiator in, and I had a '65 Mustang. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty good.
There's holes in the floorboards and stuff, but about 12 miles per gallon. But it was a cool car.
So you mentioned the work you did on Halloween 2. What was that like working with Jamie Lee Curtis?
I always say the same thing. I mean, she's here. She is playing this really introverted person. Very serious. Won't like. You saw her character, especially in Halloween 1. She's the girl. Everybody kind of. She's not too colorful, not too dynamic. Totally opposite of Jamie Lee Curtis' character. Like she's bigger than life. She just has this great sort of. She's got this 100-watt kind of energy and this this kind of charm. This very kind of disabling, disarming rather. But she's just like, we're doing it. Let's go. And she's she's really fun. She's a lot of fun. So it was fun because she was so radically different than herself. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I've always heard that she's just the exact opposite. And of course, you've seen her play more rambunctious roles. But at that time, that was more what she was known for.
Like Wanda and Trading Places. And she's great. I really think she's great.
Yeah, that's pretty great. So I Last Starfighter, I saw that in the theaters. I also saw your Jaws movie in the theaters.
Ah, yes. My Jaws movie. Yes. I was one of the people that did not see Jaws when it came out.
Really?
I started reading it in a doctor's office once. I had to wait like an hour and a half in a doctor's office. So I just picked up Peter Benchley's Jaws, when I was And I was reading it. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And then I had to go to the doctor. That's all I knew. Then when it came out, everybody was afraid to go in the water. And I'm like, I swim all the time, and I was a surfer and everything. And it's like, I don't want to be afraid of the water. It would ruin my day. So I just wouldn't see it. And I finally saw it like my senior year in high school. I finally saw Jaws. It was like on TV or something. And, And that day we were going to go surfing, and we didn't. For some reason, I said, "Nah, I don't want to go." And where we were going to go, half of a board had washed up onto the beach.
Nice.
I was like, yeah. Good idea. And this Monterey Bay, which is where we used to go, in Santa Cruz, it's the whole Monterey Bay is where the Santa Cruz is. That's one of the highest concentrations of great white sharks, and also up in Point Reyes, up by past San Francisco. That whole, sort of San Francisco Bay Area coast is very deep and very cold, and lots of seals, and so there's a lot of white sharks up there.
Yeah, that would not motivate me to go in the water.
I did not know that, and I was glad I didn't know that.
So you have to remind me, it was Jaws the Revenge. Was it the shark getting the revenge, or was it the people?
It's the revenge is on the audience. Is what it is. No, that's a good question. I think that's why they called it the Revenge, because it works both ways. The shark is
because there was a 3D one too, right? It's one of those was in 3D.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. It's kind of like it's a zombie shark. Because the chances of these being different sharks is a little weird. Otherwise, without just saying, well, white sharks are if they see you, they're going to want to kill you no matter what. They're just animals like anybody else. So I don't know. To tell you the truth, that's the first time someone's ever asked me that question. The Revenge, I would have to say, is Lorraine's character. That she is the one exacting the revenge, because it's enough.
Yeah.
3 movies,
enough of these sharks.
Killing members of my family. I have had it. I'm mad.
So, now we're going to fix it.
Somebody's got to do something. So
Oh,
yeah, I
shit.
would say because I mean basically her that that really was the story. The story
Yeah.
was really her story and her like, oh my god, really again, and then what she does and I sort of was. I mean, I drove the plot to a certain degree, but really the heart of the piece really was in her. I mean, in her
Yeah. Yeah.
her
Good
her
times.
struggle.
I
What?
said good times.
Yeah, good times. Yeah. So
I was lucky enough to talk with the gentleman that played the boy from the first one that gets, he's on the raft and he gets eaten by
oh that
the
was a
shark.
rough scene.
Rough scene. Well, that's he's made an entire career out of that. So he grew up on that island where they filmed it.
Oh my god.
He's still there. He opened up a restaurant right there, and he's just living off of the fame of being the child that was killed in Jaws.
That is awesome. I love
That's
that.
what I said. I was like, that's the best.
That's awesome. That's a great place. I mean, Martha's Vineyard. Who doesn't love Martha's Vineyard? I mean,
Right.
I've never been there. I'm a West Coast person,
Yeah.
but like it was really beautiful. I mean, we were there under 4 foot of snow. So
Wow.
we were there in January, but it was. I just thought it was so.
Did you have to go in the water at that time?
Not in January.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, I was gonna say, holy cow.
Mitch was in the water. Mitch had like a 3-inch wetsuit. But yeah,
That's pretty great.
I would like to go there in the summer, but
yeah, it's beautiful.
I've not been invited.
We'll fix
Not been
it.
invited to the vineyard.
We'll fix that. We'll get you out there.
Yeah.
So I'd read somewhere where you said that the movie The Wizard of Loneliness was your favorite film.
It was my favorite one that I did.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I shouldn't say that. I would say Last Starfighter is probably my favorite film that I did like film overall film. But the thing about The Wizard of Loneliness, I had just the best time doing it. And I really liked the script a lot. When I first read the script, I really liked it. I liked what it was about. It was very subtle. It was very sort of atmospheric. It was set in a really great time. And, we shot in New England in the fall. And, I got to ride that cool British motorcycle from like the late 30s. And, it was just really great. And I loved all the cast members, Lucas and Leah and Dylan.
Yeah.
And John. And
it was a great cast.
It really just a great group of people, a director and the DP, and everybody. I mean, everybody on the crew. It's kind of a labor of love. It was a low budget film.
Yeah.
So it was sort of, no real special effects or anything, but beautiful photography, and I don't know, it just had a good heart to me, and I like that writer. I like John Nichols. I think he's a good writer.
Yeah, it's a good film. That cast is amazing. So I have no doubt that was probably fun.
I was never unhappy. I was always just happy as a clam, and I didn't carry the film. I had, I was just the sort of the sidekick, brother, the madcap, crazy uncle.
Yeah, a little less stress there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I actually had like a whole year. I had a whole year of lead time before getting the script and then finding out that we could do it because there's this great casting director in New York, Pat McCorkle, and she just recommended me for this, and they offered it to me, but it was like, they don't know if they're going to make it, but when they do, you're the guy, So I was like, okay.
What's that like when you have that big of a lag time? Do you just kind of move on and forget about it, or
you kind of do? Yeah, you kind of do. Because during that time, I did Jaws.
Yeah.
So in other words, during it was like in mid 1986, I think, that I got the script. I was doing plays in 1986, like plays I got paid for.
Right.
In 1986, and that's when I got the script. But they're like, well, they don't really have a deal yet. And then I got the offer to do Jaws. I got a phone call saying, hey, do you want to be in Jaws 87? It was called Jaws 87. I was like, Jaws 87? Oh, okay. I'm not like, I wasn't really like a sequel guy so much, but I thought, okay. And I read the script and was like, this is a good script. This is really, I follow it. I buy it. I believe it. Like I said, it's sort of a cop out, but this did really happen. Is like 3 days before we shot, they moved a lot of the scenes around because they knew they couldn't get the shots, the some of the effects that they needed, they just couldn't do, and they didn't know that when they wrote it, or they didn't know that when they greenlighted it.
Right. I could see where that could cause some problems though if
Yeah.
you get into it and then you're like,
So
oh, we can't do that.
they kind of had to scramble and kind of restructure, and so I just flipped out because I just thought, wait, now this doesn't make any sense. Why am I what? But they were like, oh yeah, he'll relax, you know.
That had to be frustrating though. Yeah. So I keep hearing rumors that they're going to remake Last Starfighter. You hear anything?
They won't remake it. They're going to do like a
sequel.
It's like a sequel. It's going to be like a sequel.
Yeah.
But that's all I know. All I know is it's going to be more of a sequel, but it's going to, follow the same same formula because it was a great idea to begin with, and it's the whole sort of video game real life interface, is a fun thing to.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, so any chance that you show up in that?
I believe there is. I believe there is a very good chance, but it depends. I mean, they haven't given the full go ahead yet, so they're always. I'm in contact with the guys, with John and Gary, and they're.
Well, because I was curious if you could play yourself, the same character down the road. Maybe you're mentoring somebody. You could play like the dad of a new character. I was curious what.
I think those are the more I don't know, more popular ideas, and so I think I don't think it's going to be a big mystery, but I mean, and I would love to do it. I just would think it'd be so much fun to
Oh yeah,
because I think it needs another movie.
Definitely needs another movie. From the fan side, definitely needs another movie.
But so it's a kids movie. It's not.
Yeah. Well, that's why it was so great. It fit right in that timeline, in that early to mid '80s, where there were so many good family, fun action type of movies. They're just where you had teenagers in the movies that you could kind of relate to. It was just a great time growing up.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. I think it had to do with the demographics of. What's so weird is that the baby boomers were the biggest generation.
Yeah.
Not the best generation, but the biggest generation.
That's right. Right.
We'll call the greatest generation. They were my dad's generation.
Yeah.
And the baby boomers were the most influential generation, but they were huge. They were a huge group, and I'm part of that. But they didn't really realize that when they were making movies, they weren't really making them for those people necessarily.
Right.
And it wasn't until like Easy Rider in like the mid 60s when they realized it's like, oh, there's a whole generation of people that like a particular kind of movie. And then, boom, that's when they finally got it.
Yeah.
So this was just sort of an extension of it wasn't an extension of that because obviously those movies were of a completely different type. But the people who write the checks, they see, like anybody born in 1964 to back to maybe 1958. There was a particular different kind of movie that they're gonna like, or maybe not, maybe more like 60, maybe up until like 1968 or 1970. But there were like 14-year-old movies for 14-year-olds.
That's right.
So there were a ton of 14-year-olds like between 1978 and 1985 or 87. Or
well, that's it. Yeah, and we saw movies more than once.
Right. That was the thing.
Movies were in the theater so much longer than they are now.
Yeah.
Like if a movie was doing well, it might be in the theater for months.
Yeah.
You might see it half a dozen times.
And nobody had that. I mean, people just didn't have that much money. You wouldn't think to go to the movie so many times. But I think it was the disillusionment of like whenever they put it on TV, they always cut it up and you had to watch.
Oh yeah, wasn't the same.
So you didn't wait for it on TV. But after Star Wars and Jaws, and after they really realized that people will see those movies over and over and over again, Indiana Jones, then they just, why not?
Yeah, start popping them out. Those are the movies that, when I started having kids, those are the ones I show them.
Yeah.
And you get to kind of relive the experience, the Goonies and E.T. and Last Starfighter and all those, the Raiders.
My son's crazy about Back to the Future. I showed him Back to the
Future.
Future.
It's a great one.
Oh, it's a great movie. And I showed that to him when I think we were still living in New York. And he still just knocked out by Back to the Future. He's almost 17 years old. He still just loves Back to the Future. So it is a great movie. I mean, it is.
We're already past the timeline, though.
I know. That's what's funny.
Isn't that funny? We don't have where's our hoverboards?
Yeah. Where's our hoverboard?
Well, Lance, thank you so much for doing this. This was I was so excited to talk with you. This is
right on. Well, it's good to talk to you too.
Yeah, it's been fun. Hopefully, we'll catch you at a show at some point.
All right. Well, when they start, when it starts being safe to do.
Right. I know. I got a notice from a show in Lexington that they were going to plan on having theirs this fall. That's the first one that I've seen that's actually, planning to have in person. So maybe they're starting to plan it out a little.
What I do is I go to places. If I go to a place, I tend to sort of stay there for a while because I want to travel around, and it's just an excuse to see that part of the country. And like I said, because I found out that all my ancestors were in Monongahela.
Yeah, you got a place to stay. Come on through. We'll put you up in the studio.
There you go. So St. Albans, you're in St. Albans.
St. Albans. Yeah, it's about maybe 15 minutes outside Charleston.
Outside Charleston. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, you got to come by.
All right. I got your name. I know your name.
That's right. Yeah. You know how to get a hold of me. So before you go, Lance, anything that you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Well, this maybe. This is a great thing. I don't know if it's on. They do these things where they'll do like a week's sort of rehearsal.
Yeah.
And kind of see how it plays and see how it goes. And sometimes they cast people to do that. I've done that on a bunch of things, kind of like I did with Mille Quartet.
Yeah.
And then they figure out these things. But I don't even know. I literally just got this. I just read it, like I finished reading it this morning. So I don't know.
Something to keep an eye out for.
I always tell people, a couple of years ago, in November of 2018.
Yeah.
We did a production of this play that a friend of mine wrote, and it was a sketch comedy, fast-moving satire sort of story of the making of the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
Funny. It's really funny. I mean, the Star Wars Holiday Special is hard to watch.
It's very hard.
But this guy has sort of assembled this. There's like 6 actors, and they all play like 8 or 10 parts a piece. And there's shifting wigs and all kinds of stuff, and it's called Special. So we're working on doing another.
I gotta find that. It's out there though.
We were doing it in we were doing it in LA. I think we did it in LA, and then we might be doing it again.
You gotta let me know about that. That sounds awesome.
So, it's really hilarious, and that was
it sounds.
I was really proud of it. I thought that was really fun. So that's
awesome. Are you on any social media?
No. I have like Facebook. I have like my friends from college and high school, and 50 years ago. Those are my Facebook friends. And sadly, that's just a personal thing. It's not a professional thing. I joined it originally because someone said that it was a professional thing, but I found that was.
It's more personal.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. Well, we tracked you down.
Yeah, you did. All righty.
Well, hang on one second, Lance. I'm going to hit pause. That was the awesome Lance Guest. I was so excited to talk with him, and such a great guy. I was just thrilled that he answered and came on the show. I'll be honest, it wasn't super easy to track him down, but he was so nice about it. He's so talented. Such a big fan of his. And I held back. You couldn't tell, but I held back because I've seen him on so many different things through the years. Yeah, I liked him on Jericho. I liked it when he was on Becker. He was a NYPD Blue. He did a stint. Even Knots Landing. I'm not a soap opera guy, but I know he was on there, and I saw that. Just a really talented actor, and I'd love to see him on stage because I've always heard that he's just terrific with the theater. So I'd love to see him on stage. Who knows? Maybe he swings by West Virginia someday, and we can get him at the local Auburn Theater, put on a little show for us. Okay, thank you guys so much for tuning in again this week. Don't take that for granted. Really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, go to YouTube, Meisterkhan Pod, and give us a subscription. We're really trying to build up our subscription rates on the video side. You've been so generous with us on the audio side, and we're so thankful for that, working on the video. You can go to Meisterkhan.com and check out our close to 250 episodes now, video and audio. There's a blog from Brett that is funny and geeky and just terrific, so you can check that out. And then, we'll be very soon have some announcements about some audio programs that we are producing that I'm so excited about. Just has an amazing cast. So that'll be coming up real soon, so keep an eye out for that. All right, until next time, thanks to Lance. Thanks, everybody. Bye, everybody.